are kind of family.
Yes.
So, Ken Ofori-Atta's grandfather, let me get it right, grandfather, Ofori-Atta the First is the half-brother of J.B. Dankwa. And J.B. Dankwa is my grand-uncle. Yeah. J.B. Dankwa is my grandmother's brother. So, and my first trip to the U.S., I stayed with Ken. We slept in the same bed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's the relationship.
Seeing that his family and you know him, when you look back on his tenure as finance minister, what would your verdict be?
Disaster.
Disaster?
Of course. Look, if it wasn't disastrous between him and the president, the people of Ghana wouldn't have voted the way they voted. It's not me saying. The verdict is captured in the results of the elections. It's as simple as that. You know, you do not run the economy where almost everybody is suffering, okay, and expect that the people will not object. And that's what the voters of this country did last year.
I mean, it's fascinating you say that. I mean, I remember very vividly when he was appointed. There was a renewed sense of hope and optimism because of his background.
Yeah.
You know him. You slept in his bed in the U.S. And he really had built a reputation from the U.S.
Correct.
With
data
buying.
Yeah.
So everybody thought if you really needed a man, a finance minister for our time, Ken was the guy because of his international experience. We're going to bring all that to bear. But here you are, 8 years on. You described his tenure as disastrous. What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, I remember when he was appointed, I sent him a message congratulating him and urging him to do the best he could for this country and leave a legacy, you know. And that is what we all expected. We were all very hopeful. But subsequent events have betrayed that hope. Why would you do that? Why would you go after pensioners' money? It's one thing that people can never forgive Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta for.
You lost money.
I lost money. Well, pensioners picketed. The former CJ came to picket with us, etc.
So you were also on the Sun. You were on the Sun picketing.
No, I didn't go. I didn't go to picket.
But those colleagues, pensioners of yours,
yeah,
did.
Those who were working the technical details behind the scene and those who were vociferous out front there, etc. You know, but I lost money in the Eurobond. Yeah,
you said those who lost money will never forgive Akufo-Addo and Ken. You have never forgiven them.
No, I will not. I will not, because I saw them live large.
You saw them live large?
Yes, they live large, you know, and so why do you want to live large at the expense of my pension? You understand me?
Yeah.
It's something that should not be trivialized at all. To have a cabinet meeting and decide that in solving the country's debt problems, I'm going to include pensioners. That's dark. I don't fault them. You probably should even go to some country and open your skies to them and say they should use drone technology and bomb all these galamsey sites because you can map them. You know, what is this? I mean, I still don't understand why you would encourage, and you know, it's going to be like Colombia, where eventually the cartels running this galamsey business will control the politicians because they can fund you to become an MP.
And they're actually funding. I mean, CDD have done campaign financing, illicit flow into campaigns financing, and a lot of it is coming from the. In fact, the speaker himself acknowledged and reprimanded his own MPs.
And they say now 11% of our forest reserves are gone.
It's gone, yeah.
11% is a huge number.
Extremely.
It's a huge number, you know. So and this is flora and fauna that is required for the sustenance of the entire country. And a few people. And they're getting support. We're paying lip service to this because you're not going to a I'm not there. I'm not seeing it. But you cannot have. I've seen fetus of a baby in the kidney pan You know the kidney pan, the one is it's about this big, and a 7-month-old fetus fits in it in the Galamsey site. Why?
And then we have elections, and then huge change. I mean, the outcome of the election says it all, but you referenced it. What's your verdict on the last 6 months?
It's early days yet, and I think every time there's a change of government, the government seems to have a period of some honeymoon period, so to speak, and people are accommodating, etc. I think that President Mahama, he made promises, and the thing for him to do is to try and keep the promises. Luckily, we've had some stability, particularly in the currency. There's been an appreciation of the cedi, and that seems to have stabilized around 11, 12 cedis. So it allows for planning, etc. Hopefully that continues. I think the difficulty is in keeping those promises, and the kind of political system we're operating in this country basically forces contestants to make promises, and then when they come, they have a difficulty meeting those promises. And that is where then you begin to have the challenge. So far, so good, but President Mahama has to be mindful of how his appointees deliver. It's going to be very difficult, and it's one of the reasons being the processes you go through to become president, and then the appointments you make. So, for instance, I have not seen or heard in the past probably 18 years any minister of a sector or a president criticize or question an appointee for non-performance. And you know why? It's because all these appointees are political affiliates. And so if the person say, let's say any of the parastatals, let's say VRA or ECG, the CEO, being a political appointee, is not performing. Now, this political appointee was part of the whole campaign train of the president when he was campaigning. He puts him there, and the person is not performing. It's very difficult for the sector minister, who is also a political appointee, to take on, say, the minister for power, if there's a minister for power, to take on the MD of VRA for non-performance. So anytime there's a problem with any sector, any ministry, you find the party, the minister, defending the position that, or the mismanagement or whatever it is. I have never come across any minister criticize, say, I will have you fired, or fire the CEO of a parastatal for non-performance. That is the problem, you see, and it's also because what we are practicing is not a meritocracy. Today, if Sally here wants to be a minister, all she has to do is join one of the political parties and become a communicator. The more noise you make whilst in opposition, the likely your chance of becoming a CEO of a parastatal or a minister or something like that. Yeah. That is not a meritocracy. You understand me? So once you have a situation like that, then it's going to be very difficult for the government in power to perform. If you are not held to account for your deeds as a minister or as a political appointee, it means that you can underperform. And that happened under Akufo-Addo. Yeah. You take the cigar companies, okay? All these parastatals, which one of them performed? Which one of them? Maybe SIC, they pay dividends, etc. But which one of them performed?
So what's your advice to John Mahama then?
I think that if you want the country to move forward, you must appoint people irrespective of their political inclination. And make sure that even if they are all NDC, make sure they are given the job on merit. Okay. And not because they made the most noise whilst we were in opposition.
So what Europe and as America was in this Kadiaba Ghana, they send with money transfer no and American for a day amount. Send network ben no use wait me a day ascend it. So we send a day a good mobile money wallet and as a bank account so a day many per chrono wait to me a day ascend it. Now I was any just a first transaction no ubena a $20 free. The answer will be using a promo code JSXM2 and a desk screen so offer or first transaction ubena a $20 free. Meeting the Atre Bruni. Aha, Yalan Media Ghana.